Hello everyone, my name is Tony, and later you will hear from Stephanie and Kim. We are going to be presenting a cultural and linguistic analysis of the Khmer language. Our goal is to help you understand how Khmer functions as a vital carrier of Cambodian history, identity, and regional influence. Let's begin by establishing the history and the origin of the Khmer language. Khmer is the official language of Cambodia. You may hear it simply referred to as Cambodian at times. The core of this language is built around its 16 million speakers in Cambodia, making it a hugely important regional language. However, that 16 million only tells part of the story. Its reach extends well beyond those Cambodian borders. We see 1.5 million people speaking it in neighboring countries, including 1.2 million in Vietnam and another 1.4 million in Thailand. Moving to its linguistic family tree, Khmer belongs to a vast Austroasiatic language family, specifically within the Mon Khmer branch. This places it in the same large group as other regional languages like Vietnamese and Mon, which provides helpful context when studying its phonology. Now, what makes Khmer truly unique, especially when compared to its neighbors in Southeast Asia? Similar to English, it is one of the few languages in the region that is non-tonal, unlike Thai or Vietnamese. Khmer does not rely on pitch variation. Instead, it is an analytic language. It conveys all grammatical relationships and meaning primarily through clear word order and the strategic use of particles. This non-tonal aspect is a critical feature to consider when analyzing its structure. Finally, for our analysis, it's important to recognize the regional variations. There are 5 main regional dialects of Khmer. The most important for us to note is Central Khmer, which is recognized as the standard form of the language. Other varieties include Northern Khmer, Western Khmer, Southern Khmer, and Cardamom Khmer. Within this historical and linguistic foundation established, let's talk about the Khmer alphabet itself, because the script has an incredible history. It has an ancient, influential lineage, tracing its roots all the way back to the Brahmi script of ancient India. Specifically, it came to Cambodia through the Pallava script, which was used throughout Southeast Asia between the 5th and 6th centuries AD. We can actually date the script in Cambodia back to the oldest known inscription from 611 AD. Perhaps the biggest takeaway here is its influence. The Khmer alphabet is a linguistic ancestor. It served as the direct basis for the modern Thai and Lao alphabets. So how does the script work? It uses what's called abugida. Think of that as a syllabic alphabet. Every consonant automatically comes within its own inherent vowel sound. To change the vowel or manage complex sounds, you have to use a unique subscript form for all the consonants. It's this complex structure that gives Khmer a unique title, the world's largest alphabet, featuring somewhere between 120 and 130 different syllables. Now, what drives all this complexity? It's something called a 2-series system at the heart of the script. Essentially, every consonant has 2 distinct forms. We categorize it into first series and second series. This is where the inherent vowel sound comes in. The first series carries an inherent short A sound. The second series carries an inherent short O sound. If you're looking to master the language, understanding this dual nature of consonants is crucial. The inherent consonant sound then dictates how other vowels are written and pronounced. Vowels are mostly added using diacritics, which are incredibly flexible. They can be written above, below, in front of, behind, or even wrap around the consonant. Critically, the final pronunciation of any vowel is dependent on which consonant series it's attached to. This is what makes Khmer very a very difficult language to pronounce correctly. Moving to general text formatting, the writing direction is standard, flowing from left to right in horizontal lines. However, you will notice a lack of spaces between individual words. Instead, spaces are used to indicate the end of a clause or a sentence, similar to how we use punctuation. Finally, it is worth noting a separate but significant element of verbal complexity. Khmer requires speakers to change the verb depending on who they are speaking to. There are approximately 7 to 8 levels of respect, resulting in numerous levels of language that must be mastered for appropriate social interaction. This complex writing system and its deep social rules present a fascinating challenge. Having established the historical and structural foundations of the Khmer language, let's now look at the geographical variation and the distinct regional dialects. We can categorize these into 5 primary groups that reflect how the language is used and influenced across the region. We begin with Battambang Khmer. This dialect, spoken primarily in the Battambang province in northwestern Cambodia, is significant because it is often considered the historical basis of the modern Standard Khmer. It is highly mutually understandable with the central dialect, but it retains more traditional phonetic features, especially subtle differences in vowel sounds. Next, Central Khmer is the official standard dialect and most vital to the country. It's spoken in the Central Plains, where the vast majority of Cambodians' population lives. This version is used in most formal settings in media and is taught across all schools in Cambodia. Northern Khmer, as we mentioned earlier, is the variety spoken primarily in Thai, bordering Cambodia. And because of this location, Northern Khmer has noticeably phonological differences when compared to Central Khmer. Western Khmer, which you may hear called Cardamom Khmer, is a dialect spoken primarily in the mountains near the Thai border. Unsurprisingly, this geographical proximity means Western Khmer shows considerable influence from the Thai language. Finally, we examine Southern Khmer. This dialect is spoken by the people living in the Mekong Delta region of Vietnam. A significant linguistic feature here is its monosyllabic tendencies. These 5 dialects show how location, political boundaries, and historical roots have shaped the Khmer language into a rich, varied linguistic landscape. That brings us to the end of our structural and dialect analysis. Before I hand the presentation over to Stephanie, let's look at some fascinating facts about the language and Cambodian culture. First, we've covered the complexity of the Khmer alphabet, but it bears repeating. Khmer holds the title for the world's longest alphabet, boasting up to 130 different symbols when counting all the diacritics and subscript forms. A great example of its social hierarchy built into the language is the word yes. Here's an example of how it is said differently based on your gender.
So, in this lesson, you will learn how to say yes and no, thank you in Khmer. There are 2 different ways to say yes. If you are a girl, you have to say cha, cha to mean yes. However, for boys, you have to say bad, bad to mean yes.
A great example of cultural etiquette is that it is considered a significant insult to touch someone's head, even affectionately, as the head is regarded as the highest, most sacred part of the body. Cambodian hospitality is hugely important. If you're offered food or drink in someone's home, it is considered rude if you do not accept it. Even just taking a small portion acknowledges your generosity and goodwill. Speaking of food, Cambodians regularly eat insects, particularly crickets, grasshoppers, and even tarantulas, which became a necessary protein source during difficult times and are now a very popular snack. Finally, a landmark fact: Cambodia is home of Angkor Wat, which is officially the largest religious building in the world. Cambodia is known to have the largest freshwater lake in Southeast Asia, called the Tonle Sap. And lastly, the Khmer New Year is celebrated in April, marking the end of the harvest season and the traditional solar new year. These diverse facts, from the sheer size of the alphabet to the scale of Angkor Wat, demonstrate that Khmer and Cambodia are steeping in rich and unique history.
Thank you, Tony, for going over the background information and fun facts of the Khmer language. Soslay, or hello. I'm Stephanie, and I'm going to be going over Khmer's linguistic features. Now, looking upon this language of Khmer, at first you might have wanted to say Khmer. We would say Khmer in English. However, the proper pronunciation is Khmer. Khmer is an analytical, non-tonal language with several distinctive linguistic features across its sound system and structure. Phonologically, it has a large and complex vowel inventory. It allows for initial consonant clusters. In morphology, Khmer uses very little inflection. There are no verb conjugations, noun cases, or grammatical gender, so grammatical relationships are expressed mainly through word order, particles, and context, with affixes serving primarily to adjust meaning rather than grammar. The syntax of Khmer follows a basic subject-verb-object order. It places modifiers after nouns and often uses verb serialization to show sequence, aspect, or direction. Semantics, meaning, is strongly context-driven, and the language employs a rich system of social registers and pronouns to indicate politeness and social hierarchy. In discourse, Khmer tends to be topic prominent, relying on shared context and inference, using repetition for emphasis, and signaling relationships and discourse roles through careful pronoun choice. Now let's dive a little bit deeper into the phonology. Khmer is an analytical language, which means it relies on word order and auxiliary words to convey grammatical meaning. Khmer has a rich and distinctive sound system. It uses around 33 consonants. You can listen to them below in the video, many of which come in two series, a hard and a soft series, that influence the following vowel is pronounced. And you can listen to the vowels below and the Khmer alphabet song. The vowel system is one of the most complex features of Khmer. Although the script lists 23 independent vowel symbols, each vowel can be pronounced in two different ways, depending on the consonant series it follows. This effectively doubles the vowel inventory. Khmer vowels can be short or long, simple or diphthong-like, and many are written as multi-part symbols placed before, after, above, or below the consonant. These combinations produce a wide range of vowel qualities, including centralized, front, and back vowel variants. Khmer is a non-tonal, but the language uses vowel length, vowel quality, and syllable structure to create contrast and meaning. Syllables are generally simple, with only a limited set of possible final consonants, giving Khmer its smooth, flowing rhythm. Overall, the language sound is shaped by the two consonant series, highly flexible vowel system, and rhythmic non-tonal structure, making Khmer both complex and uniquely expressive. In the next two slides, you are going to see the difference between the Khmer and English language and phonology. Khmer and English differ significantly in their linguistic structure, shaping how speakers of each language communicate and learn the other. Khmer is a non-tonal, syllable-time language with a large consonant inventory and a complex vowel system influenced by two consonant series. In contrast, English is stress time, relying heavily on stressed and unstressed syllables to create rhythm. Khmer has no inflectional endings for tense, number, or gender, meaning much grammatical information is conveyed through word order and context, while English uses a wide variety of morphological markers, such as the plural and past tense of S and ED. Khmer syllables are generally simple, with limited final consonants, whereas English allows complex clusters at both the beginning and the end of words. English also distinguishes meaning through consonant voicing and varied vowel reductions, while Khmer relies on vowel quality, length, and syllable patterns rather than stress. These differences can affect pronunciation, rhythm, grammar, and overall communication between the speakers of the two languages. This slide is continuing the difference in Khmer and English phonology, showing you even more detailed features of what is Khmer and what is English and how they are different. We just went over the differences between the Khmer and English phonology. Now, despite these differences, the two languages share some notable phonological similarities. Both use vowel length contrast, both distinguish words through consonant voicing, and both allow a range of vowel qualities, including front, central, and back vowels. Additionally, speakers of both languages must manage final consonant articulation, though English permits more complex clusters. These shared features provide helpful points of connection for learners, even amid the substantial structural differences. Again, Khmer has a morphology that is predominantly analytic, meaning words are generally not inflected for tense, number, gender, or case. Instead, word order and context carry most of the grammatical meaning. In Khmer, roots remain unchanged. The grammatical relationships are expressed through particles, auxiliary words, and sentence structures. Plurals are often marked with optional particles, while tense and aspect are shown through time markers for past events or ongoing actions. Although Khmer lacks inflectional morphology, it does use prefixes, infixes, and reduplication, which help form new words, shift word classes, or intensify meaning. Reduplication in particular is common for creating adjectives, adverbs, and expressive forms. Overall, Khmer morphology is simple in form, but rich in function, relying on a combination of the root stability, patterns, and contextual markers to convey meaning. Moving on to syntax, Khmer syntax is characterized by generally subject, verb, object, word order, similar to English, but with far greater reliance on context rather than inflection. Verbs do not change form for tense, aspect, agreement, or number. Instead, Khmer uses particles, adverbs, and time expressions to convey these meanings. The language allows frequent subject and object omission when they are clear from context, making sentences highly flexible. Khmer also makes extensive use of serial verb constructions, where multiple verbs appear in sequence to describe connected actions without conjunctions. Noun phrases typically place modifiers after the noun, while prepositions introduce most relational phrases. Overall, Khmer syntax is highly analytic, context dependent, and streamlined, emphasizing word order and particles over morphological marking. Khmer semantics is strongly shaped by the language analytic structure and heavy reliance on context. Because Khmer has almost no inflectional marking, meanings related to tense, aspect, number, and definiteness are interpreted through surrounding words, discourse, context, and shared knowledge rather than through changes in a word form. Khmer often uses general verbs and broad lexical categories, allowing meaning to be refined by context or additional particles. The language also distinguishes levels of politeness and social hierarchy through special pronouns and vocabulary choices, making semantic interpretation sensitive to social relationships. In many cases, Khmer expresses semantic nuance through serial verb constructions where meaning emerges from the combined action rather than a single verb. Overall, Khmer semantics is highly context dependent, pragmatic, and socially aware, relying on word choice, discourse cues, and cultural norms to convey precise meaning. Khmer discourse is strongly shaped by context, social hierarchy, and the need for smooth, harmonious communication. Speakers often rely on implicit meaning, allowing shared knowledge to fill in details rather than stating everything directly. Pronoun choice is central in Khmer discourse, as it reflects the relationship between speakers and helps maintain respect and social balance. Conversations frequently use topic comment structure, introducing the topic first and then adding information about it. Khmer also permits frequent omission of subjects or objects when they are understood, resulting in streamlined, context driven dialogue. Cohesion is achieved less through complex grammatical linking and more through particles, discourse markers, and consistent reference to shared topics. Overall, Khmer discourse favors indirectness, respect, and contextual clarity, creating communication that is cooperative, fluid, and socially sensitive. Khmer speakers encounter several challenges when learning English due to major differences between the two languages. English has stress time rhythm, complex consonant clusters, and a large set of vowel contrasts, while Khmer is syllable timed with simpler final consonants and more predictable vowel patterns. As a result, Khmer learners may struggle with word stress, final consonant articulation, and distinguishing similar English vowels. English inflectional endings like s, ed, and ing can also be difficult since Khmer verbs do not change form. In grammar, learners may omit subjects or articles mirroring Khmer syntax and may find tense and agreement challenging because these concepts are expressed differently in Khmer. Additionally, idiomatic expressions and indirect phrasing can be confusing due to differences in pragmatics and discourse style. Together, these factors create predictable areas of difficulty that speakers learning English may experience.
Hi, my name is Kim, and I will be discussing the pragmatics and communication style of the Khmer language, as well as cultural norms and their impact on students in the classroom. I will also provide suggestions to help teachers plan lessons with students' cultural backgrounds in mind. The pragmatics of Khmer refers to how meaning is shaped by context, social norms, politeness, and culture beyond the literal words themselves. Khmer communication is influenced by social hierarchy, Buddhist values, and expectations of respect and indirectness. In Cambodia, there are 7 to 8 levels of respect and understanding. These is essential for building meaningful relationships. The concept of face is especially important, guiding interactions and behavior. Respect and humility are expected, particularly toward elders or those of higher status, and are often shown through bowing, formal language, and honorific titles. Khmer speakers often use indirect language to be polite and avoid conflict, sometimes using vague expressions or softening phrases like same but different or I don't know. When interacting in Cambodian culture, there are several key practices to follow. It is important to talk about your family, work, and home country, as personal sharing helps build trust and connection. However, talking about the Khmer Rouge is not appropriate conversation. Making an effort to use the greeting and learning about Khmer culture shows respect and appreciation for local customs. Using honorifics in the correct language of respect is essential, especially in a society with multiple levels of formality. Maintaining face is another critical aspect of communication, so it's important to communicate gently, avoid criticism or confrontation, and show humility. Additionally, accepting hospitality such as food or small gestures or generosity is an important way to demonstrate respect and strengthen relationships. At the same time, there are several behaviors to avoid. Touching someone's head is considered disrespectful because the head is regarded as the most sacred part of the body. Pointing at someone is impolite, and using the left hand is also traditionally viewed as unclean. Public displays of affection should be avoided as they are generally inappropriate. Sitting with legs crossed in formal or traditional settings can signal disrespect, and pointing your feet toward someone is also considered rude, as feet are viewed as low and unclean. Tucking your feet under oneself is considered respectful. By keeping these do's and don'ts in mind, interactions in Cambodia can remain respectful and harmonious. In Cambodian culture, greetings and social interactions are guided by respect and tradition. The traditional greeting, called the involves bowing with the hands pressed together, and the higher the hands and the deeper the bow, the greater respect is shown. Formal greetings are expressed with while is used for informal greetings. The person who is younger or lower class bows first, and regardless of age, monks receive the highest level of respect. Informal greetings may sometimes be seen as disrespectful, particularly when addressing elders or individuals of a higher status. It is customary to use honorifics addressing men as Lok and women as Lok Sure, followed by their name, and bringing a small gift of appreciation when visiting someone is also considered polite. Communication etiquette also reflects respect. Silence is acceptable and valued, and guests generally speak only when addressed. It is important to take turns, avoid interrupting, and use a calm, polite, and indirect tone, avoiding confrontation. Appearance and dress are equally important as they signal social status and guide the tone of interaction. Cambodians dress modestly and conservatively, blending in with the group rather than standing out. And it is customary to remove shoes when entering someone's home. Khmer communication follows specific verbal and nonverbal rules that reflect cultural values and social hierarchy. Verbal communication is often indirect, with vague or softened responses used to avoid confrontation. Khmer is a non-tonal language where the meaning of words are shaped by context, gestures, and other nonverbal cues. Age and social status play a central role in guiding how people speak, including the choice of pronouns and the level of respect expressed. Speakers often select polite, indirect language to maintain harmony, sometimes using phrases like yes, but it might not be possible, to protect both their own and their listener's face. Words may carry multiple meanings, and facial expressions and body language help convey the intended message, making nonverbal communication extremely important in Cambodian culture. Physical contact is limited and generally accepted only among people of the same gender, while public displays of affection are inappropriate. Personal space is respected and is appropriate to have about 1 arm's length maintained between people. Indirect eye contact shows respect, and body language communicates subtle meaning. Smiling, nodding, or silence can all indicate agreement, respect, or even disagreement depending on the context. Posture also conveys respect, with arms at the sides showing politeness, while crossed arms or hands on hips can signal disrespect. In Khmer culture, communication is considered high context, meaning that much of the meaning is conveyed through nonverbal cues, social hierarchy, and the context of the interaction rather than through words alone. Greetings and interactions are shaped by the relationship between people, their rank, and their age. Avoiding direct eye contact is often a sign of respect, reflecting cultural values of humility and deference. In the classroom, this high context communication can influence student behavior. Students may avoid speaking up to prevent challenging authority, and their communication is often indirect, especially when expressing disagreement. They may use vague language such as maybe instead of no, or rely on gestures and body language to convey meaning. To support students in this context, teachers can observe nonverbal cues such as silence or facial expressions and encourage participation gently without putting students on the spot. Teachers can also provide students to use gestures such as pointing and also allow them to show their learning through drawing and writing. Providing wait time and previewing work before asking students to share in front of their peers can help them feel more comfortable and confident while respecting cultural communication norms. In Cambodian culture, there is a strong emphasis on collectivism where honoring and being loyal to one's family and community is highly valued. The interests of the group often take precedence over individual desires, and people are expected to act for the good of the community while maintaining harmony and avoiding public criticism in order to save face. In the classroom, this collectivist perspective can impact students' learning. Students may be reluctant to stand out or seek individual recognition, and parents may focus more on group harmony than on a child's personal achievements. Students might also hesitate to ask for help when they do not understand a concept. To support learners in this context, teachers can incorporate group work and peer collaboration, highlighting the success of the class as a whole rather than focusing solely on individual accomplishments. Speaking clearly, avoiding idioms or slang, and checking understanding with open-ended questions can further ensure effective communication while respecting collectivist cultural values. Finally, in Cambodian culture, there is high power distance, meaning that social hierarchy is clear and respect and obedience toward authority are expected. The Khmer language reflects this hierarchy through 7 to 8 levels of respect, and families often expect teachers to lead learning in the classroom. In the classroom, students may avoid disagreeing with teachers or peers, and parents may defer to educators, rarely voicing concerns openly. This can result in students appearing shy or passive, avoiding confrontation, or hesitating to admit confusion in order to maintain harmony. To support learners and families in this context, teachers can focus on building trust through respectful and friendly dialogue. It is important to emphasize that parents' involvement and feedback are valued and that sensitive topics should be addressed in private one-on-one settings. Teachers can encourage parents to take an active role in their child's education by providing clear communication, using translated materials when needed, and offering opportunities for involvement. Questions and feedback for both parents and students should be phrased in a non-judgmental, face-saving way.